Hi everyone, my name is Merijn. Most people know me as the plastic soup surfer. Why that name? Because I use surfboards to take action against plastic pollution. Now I live in the Netherlands and for more than 10 years I've been working to stop plastic ending up in nature. Not just by cleaning up though. What I do is I go up to leaders, to ministers and to big companies in the Netherlands, but also to other European countries, and I've even been to Africa. It's where the leaders are that the real decisions are made, you see. If they change things, then things really start to shift. How do I do that? How do I even get through to those leaders and politicians? Well, I came up with something special. I do expeditions and surfing adventures to get their attention. Who in your class has ever tried kite surfing or seen someone kite surf? Well, I kite surfed all the way across the North Sea from the Netherlands to England, 180 kilometers. Why? To ask deposits on bottles and cans. And guess what? 60,000 people actually helped me and signed my petition. And that got adopted by Parliament, and now there's 80% less littered cans and bottles in the Netherlands. So with that success, I kept on going. I surfed from Oslo to London, and from Paris, now I'm even going to Rome. And along the way, I met with mayors and other officials on the shores and on the riverbanks. Why? Well, very obvious, plastic waste is everywhere, not just in the Netherlands. And it's only when leaders of all these countries act together that we can make a difference. And here's the funny thing, if you do something wild, like cross an ocean on a surfboard made from plastic, suddenly people pay attention and journalists write about it. Politicians have to respond. And then plastic waste is suddenly at the top of their list. But why, you might ask yourself, do I do all this? Why all this effort? Well, it's because I saw that plastic pollution myself on my own beach. I saw it washing up the plastic and I thought, this has to stop. And that's why I built a surfboard out of that waste I found on the beach, just to show how bad it is. And plastic is not just ugly for the eye to see, it's a serious problem. It breaks up in smaller pieces, microplastics. It's in rivers, in lakes, and it's in our bodies. Pretty serious. Lots of people really do want to use less plastic, probably you too. But what's really helps? Rules. Because rules apply to everyone, to you, to me, but also to the companies that make all that plastic. That's why I go up to these politicians. They can make laws that everybody has to follow, and that's when real change happens. So what about you? Do you have to cross an ocean? I don't think so, no way. At home or in class, you can use something simple like a reusable bottle and not make any plastic waste, or a lunchbox, or your own bag, take it to school. And at school, well, you can help keep the playground clean, or in your neighborhood, you can help clean up or write a letter to someone that makes rules, maybe the head of your school. It's small actions, but together, all these small actions become a huge wave. And that's also why I like Plastic Clever School so much, because you don't just learn what the problem is, you also do something about it with projects and workshops. You show that your school can actually use less plastic, and that really makes a difference. And today is special because you're not alone. Schools everywhere are joining in. And well, maybe you think, we're just one class, but imagine thousands of schools all at the same time. That's very powerful, that's huge. And it shows all the leaders, companies and politicians, look, kids care about this. And if kids care, well, then adults have to follow. Thank you. This was Merijn Tinga, the plastic soup surfer from the Netherlands.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, my name is Kerry and I am from Plessy Clever Schools. And a big warm welcome to all the children, the teachers, the schools from all around the world that are joining us for this special live event to celebrate the International Day of Action. Now, you've just watched a very inspiring film by Merijn Tinga, who is the plastic soup surfer. And interestingly, through his campaigns and adventures, Merijn has been raising awareness of the issue of plastic pollution and has shown that through one man's determination, he can change laws, attitudes, and most importantly, our planet's future. And we are very, very excited to have Merijn with us here today, live, to talk to us about his wonderful work and to answer some of your questions. So if you have got some questions, can you please put them into the YouTube chat? And I will try and share as many of them as possible as I can. So enough of me talking. I would just like to say a big warm welcome to Merijn Tinga, the plastic soup surfer.
Hi
Welcome, Merijn.
everyone.
Hi.
Hi
Right.
everyone.
Okay, let's get started with our first question. Merijn, which of your many journeys and expeditions has been the most difficult, exciting, or impactful so far? And could you tell us why?
Well, one of the most difficult ones was the one where I windsurfed from Oslo to London.
So
So I
far.
windsurfed on a surfboard made with plastic bottles. I windsurfed that. And windsurfing is a very technical sport. So you need, well, the wind and the current. You have to take care. You have to manage those, of course. And you don't always know where it's going to take you, and you have to at a certain you pass coastlines you haven't seen before, haven't been before, so you don't know, and it could be rocks and well, difficult situations. And I once got into this very well, dangerous situation in front of the port of Rotterdam. So Rotterdam is one of the biggest harbors in the world. And I had the current against me and the wind against me, and there were huge waves, 3 meter high waves, and I got caught in front of the rocks, in front of a pier, and I had big ships, so container ships coming in and out of the harbor all the time, and that was one of the most dangerous things, one of the most dangerous moments in all these expeditions.
And on your journeys, did you actually see lots of plastic in the ocean? You talked about the fact that you were surfing on a board made of plastic,
Yeah.
but did you see lots of plastic in the ocean as you were windsurfing?
Yeah, when you windsurf, well, I guess not when you're in the middle of the sea or doing a large crossing, you don't see it that much. But once you get to the coast and you get to the coastline, you always find plastic on the beaches, especially these beaches I go to, because they're not the commercial beaches, the beaches you can easily reach. So these are beaches or coastlines or rocky islands I go to where, well, nobody ever goes or not that much. And that's where you tend to find plastic packaging, fishery, ropes and nets and buckets and stuff like that you find on each beach that is a bit isolated or further away from where people normally go, because we do a lot of, since a few years, beaches are being cleaned nearly all the time. So people really starting to catch up with the fact that, well, we need to clean up and take that plastic away from the beaches. And that's what you see. That's being done, and that is great.
That's fascinating. Right, I've started having some questions coming in, and one school has asked, how long did it take you to get from, is it Norway to England on your windsurfing
Yeah.
journey?
Oslo, London was 1,800 kilometers, so that's a little more than 1,000 miles, I guess, 1,100 miles, and that took me 28 days to windsurf. So I windsurf normally I windsurf 50 to 60 kilometers each day, but like I said, I had to do it against the normal wind direction. So Here in Europe, we have a predominant southwesterly wind. So I had, well, to go from Oslo to London, I had to go against the wind, and sometimes there was no wind at all. So I had to paddle, for instance. Yeah, so that took me 28 days in all these different coasts. And I saw, I've seen all these different types of dolphins and seals and birds as I windsurfed down the coast.
Can I ask what was the most surprising thing that you've seen then in on the ocean when you were doing your adventures?
Well, I've seen dolphins with small calves, so with their babies. But I've also seen actual whales swim by. Um, yeah, and of course, like I said, you see all different kinds of plastic pollution. I've seen shipwrecks, so I mean ships that had been wrecked and rusty old parts sticking out of the water, for instance, stuff like that. Yeah, it's yeah, stuff like that. I guess that's the most surprising things you see as you go along.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've got a question from the school Coddington in the UK that have said, how did you get all the plastic? So if you collect plastic,
Yeah,
how much have you collected and how much plastic did you actually use? In, maybe this is to do with your windsurfing
my winter
boat,
work.
your
Yeah,
windsurfer. Can
so
you tell us a little bit about how that was built?
yeah, so I actually went to the River Thames to Paris. Oh, sorry, to London to collect bottles from the Thames, and I first asked this organization where to find that stuff, and they told me, well, if you just go to the center of London, across to the London Eye, I guess it's called, the big Ferris wheel. You just have a beach and it's full of plastic bottles, and you just have to wait for the tide to drop, and you can just go pick them up. So that's what I did. I went there, and yeah, it wasn't that hard to find bottles. It took me. I live in the Netherlands, so it took me more than 4 hours to actually by train get to London. But once I was there, it took me 5 minutes to pick up the bottles. Then I had to take the train back for another 4 hours. So I mean, there's literally there's plastic bottles everywhere, and then we use those bottles in that board. Yeah.
Yeah. And the aim was to raise awareness of the bottle return scheme. Is that correct?
Exactly, exactly. So what I tried to do with these bottles in the in so I took those bottles, and what I wanted to say was if these bottles had drifted down the Thames with the next high tide, they would have been picked up and drifted down the Thames. They would have ended up, well, first in the North Sea, of course, and then with, like I said, the southwesterly winds, they would have been blown all the way to Scandinavia, to Norway, where I actually found English bottles on the coast. So that was the idea. I wanted to bring back just to show that I was doing the reverse journey of these bottles by taking these bottles back from the coast where I'd found them in the first place. Yeah, and taking them all the way back to London, to Westminster, to the politicians who actually make the decisions, who can actually make the decisions for, well, us people, the laws, I guess, so that we have systems, we set up systems where you can bring back your bottle, and we have one of these systems which is called deposit return scheme, where you pay a little extra for your bottle once you buy it, but then you get the money back once you return your bottle. But of course, this takes all companies and all. This means we need legislation. It's not that you, as one company, can start this up, but you have to have all these different companies, all these supermarkets, all do it together, because otherwise the system won't work. And that's why we need legislation. And that's why I went up to Westminster, where the politicians are, that can actually, well, make those laws for these supermarkets.
You still have some hope that it's going to happen
Oh, it's going to
in
happen.
England.
There is
Yeah.
legislation in place. Well, we're waiting for it to
Hmm.
take effect. But of course, it takes time. It's not. These are not easy processes. It takes some time, and you have to think about this. what stores are obliged to take in these bottles and which can be exempted. Things like that are important, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got some more questions from the children that are, where have you seen the worst plastic pollution in the world? Where would you say is the worst place?
Oh, well, I've lived in Africa for a while. I've been to beaches in Ghana, and it's shocking what you see in those beaches, of course. But and what I often hear, it's like, it's the people of Ghana that do this. Um, but you should take in mind that loads of the waste in Ghana is actually from Western countries. It's actually from Great Britain. It's being transported there. And then there's no waste management system, or not a very good management system in place in these countries. And that's why in these countries, in these developing world countries, you see all that waste. But that waste is not always from the countries themselves. They're from other European or American and also Great Britain, transported there and then left behind. So that's what you often see. But then you shouldn't. I mean, like I said, I've seen a lot of uninhabited islands where there's loads of plastic as well. Just here, I mean, in Scotland as well. I've been to a certain beach in Sweden where the wind is onshore, and I've actually waded through the microplastics. Just have all these small pieces of microplastic around my feet. Okay, it's not like Ghana where you have all the actual plastic bottles, but this, I mean, this is one of the richest countries in the world, and you have the microplastics sticking to your ankles when you walk through the water.
Mm. And well, you've done some amazing things, and you are an inspiration to lots of people here today. But quick question for you is who inspires you to do all this fantastic work that you are doing?
Oh, that's a good question. There's actually, if we're talking about windsurfing, there's actually an Englishman called Jon Dunnett, and he's windsurfed all the way around Europe, and he's actually windsurfing around Japan. So I've spoken to him as well, but he's much just focused on the windsurfing itself. But these people are an inspiration to me. And then there's Dutch activists who are very focused on lobbying work or data collection, which you probably don't know. But yeah, those are the people that inspire me. Apart from, I guess, writers and artists, or books I read about, I don't know, philosophy, or Ernest Shackleton. You might know Ernest Shackleton. He's a, what is it, a 19th or 20th century, 19th century explorer who wanted to explore the South Pole, but got caught in the ice, and then he managed to get his whole crew alive back to he got back to England. So he's an inspiration as well.
That's amazing. So we've got lots of students on the call here today. And one question from them has been, if you were a student in school today, which wasn't
Yeah,
that long ago, I'm sure,
yeah.
what would be the first thing that you would change about the plastic use, the sort of a massive amount of plastic use that happens?
Within the school, I would say I'd have schools change to reusable as much as possible. You know, of course, we need to take care that plastic has lots of properties which are very beneficial to us. It's light, it's strong, of course, but the thing we shouldn't do is use all this single-use plastic, and we need to change our behavior in the way that we start reusing, or have more see the value, I guess, of materials more, and change our behavior and not be as lazy, I guess, all the time. Of course, it's in our nature to do things as easily as possible, but throwing away stuff after one use shouldn't be one of those. And this is something we should try and change, especially within schools.
Yeah, I agree. It's that refusing, isn't it? Learning to refuse things. So, we've got lots of people here today that are going to be sort of trying their own campaigns in the schools. Do you have any advice for young people who want to do some sort of campaign
Yeah,
in their school or their community? Any tips from what
yeah,
you've done in the past?
yeah. Well, I've learned a lot in the last 11 years, but the most important thing is actually start. Just start. Um, within as you start to see, don't wait for the perfect moment. I guess that's most important lesson. Um, and secondly, it would be reach out to press and media as quickly as possible because they are the ones that can amplify your message. And especially if you're young and you do something extraordinary, they will pick it up very quickly. So, but the most important thing is, I guess, start because once you start to develop, you start to learn, you start to see new people, meet new people, find new people along the way who will come along in your journey, and these are people you will then get to rely on, and who will help you and further develop your messaging, your message, I guess, and your activities. But first of all, be courageous and just start.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, we've got time for about one more question. So, you've already done some amazing things. Can you share with us some any things that you might be doing in the future? Any future plans? Are we allowed to know them? Is there
Yeah,
anything
sure.
exciting in
Yeah,
the
sure.
pipeline that you can tell us?
Yeah, so coming May, I'll windsurf. I'll continue my windsurfing trip from Nice, so which is in the south of France, to Rome, the capital of Italy. I'll be windsurfing that and talking to the mayor of Rome, and I'm actually going there in 3 weeks to prepare the whole journey already. Apart from that, I'm doing all this research with technical universities here in the Netherlands, but that's a bit of a technical research, I guess. And we've just released a new film, which I hope I can share with you as well on on the Paris-Nice adventure. So those are the things I'm doing in the coming year, I guess.
Oh, it's amazing. You're doing, and it's brilliant that you are able to come and share with us today some of those ideas.
Thank you very
Um,
much.
just one quick question before we go. When did you first start windsurfing? How old were you? Have
I
we got any
was
people
I
here that
was
might
eight
want to have a
years
go?
old. I was
You were
eight
how
years
old?
old when I started windsurfing. But you don't have to start windsurfing to actually, try and change things. Of course, it's good if you have your own passion and you follow that and you can develop that. But like I said, most important thing is just start. Be courageous. Don't wait for the perfect moment.
Oh, thank you. Wise words. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure you
Thank
have
you.
inspired so many people here on the chat today. So thank you to all the people that have logged in. Thank you to all the children and teachers and schools. And once again, a big thank you to Meryn. I hope you all have a fantastic day and enjoy the rest of the International Day of Action. But bye for now, everybody. Thanks again, Meryn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Bye bye.
everybody.